I'm seeing this and I guess I need to react to it. United States versus Preston Powell plea agreement. The plea agreement between the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Andrew S. Bertos, and defendant Preston Powell, aka known as also Marley. I say aka for no reason, but whatever. And his attorneys, Holly Bain and Molly Moore, is made pursuant to Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and is governed in part by Rule 11C1C. As more fully set forth below, the parties to this agreement have agreed upon the following. Charge in this case. The superseding information in this case charges that defendant is in the course of violation of Title 18 USC Section 924C, did use, carry, brandish, and discharge a firearm during and in relation to a case of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, namely the use of facility of interstate commerce with the intent that a murder be committed in violation of laws entitled of Illinois Chapter 720, Illinois Compiled Statutes. If you ever wish payday came sooner, this might actually help. There's a banking app called Current with a bunch of useful features. And one of the main ones lets you access up to $750 of your paychecks early. If you switch your payroll over with Current, you get a full set of features like paycheck advance, fee-free overdraft, and the build card and more. There's everything in one app. I actually like that myself, which is why I partner with them. And right now, they're giving $75 to anyone who signs up using my link or scans the QR code on the screen. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you straight to the sign-up page where you can create your own account. Just go through the normal sign-up steps, enter information, order your card. After you complete those steps, you'll see the option pop up to enter my promo code, which unlocks the $75 bonus when you switch your direct deposit. So make sure you go through the full sign-up process so you don't miss it. If you ever feel like managing money is stressful and tight sometimes, it's definitely worth checking out because that's literally what it's designed for. That rule in particular basically allows them to say, hey, here's an open plea, basically 30 to 35 years, and so on and so forth. Then there's a second page shown roll agreements relating to sentencing. This agreement will be governed in part by Federal Criminal Complaint 11C1C. That is, the parties have agreed that the sentence imposed by the court shall include a term of imprisonment in the custody of the Bureau of Prisons of not less than 30 years and not more than 35 years. Damn, that's a deal right there. Each party is free to recommend whatever sentence it deems appropriate within the range other than the agreed terms of incarceration. The parties have agreed that the court remains free to impose the sentence it deems appropriate. If the court accepts and imposes the agreed term of incarceration set forth, defendant may not withdraw this plea as a matter of right under Federal Criminal Complaint 11D and E. If, however, the court refuses to impose the agreed term of incarceration set forth herein, thereby rejecting this agreement, or otherwise refuses to accept defendant's plea of guilty, either party has the right to withdraw from this agreement. Meaning, if the judge say, nah, this ain't good enough, then we can go ahead and get rid of it. So they're trying to get the judge to give 30 to 35 years. Regarding restitution, defendant acknowledges that pursuant to Title 18 United States Code Section, I can't really see that one, the court must order defendant together with any jointly liable co-defendants to make full restitution to victims in an amount to be determined by the court at sentencing, which amount shall reflect credit for any funds repaid prior to sentencing. There's nothing about a Rule 35. There's nothing about a 5K 1.1 or any of that shit that's involved in there. So what is actually going on? Well, Trap Lord Ross, come on up, man. We're going to listen to Trap Lord break this down and see if I agree or disagree, because this shit right now, it keeps stinging the damn inbox. Like, hey, check this out.
This case in court documents all the way back in 2025. So I've got some of the paperwork here from the original court documents that I can show you. There's my other documents. I'm going to pull them up real quick. So here they are. So this is some of the paperwork. It says, specifically, the government has carefully selected narrow pieces of evidence showing the two alleged shooters in the Chicago case discussed payment from OTF and the defendant banks just 2 weeks after the murder of a well-known Chicago gang member, Stephon Mack. The government intends to admit a handful of short text messages showing that one shooter texted the other, "What's up, OTF? What you mean? They not paying? Did Durk give you that money?" And DNA and fingerprint evidence link the shooters to the crime scene. The government also intends to introduce a social media post that one of the alleged shooters posted shortly after this text thread, showing him holding money while a song by the defendant Banks is played in the background. I'll show you that a minute ago. Although laying the foundation to prove these discrete facts would potentially require 3 or 4 witnesses, the government anticipates such testimony would not take up an unnecessarily lengthy amount of time, especially when weighed against the probative value of this 404B evidence. Moreover, should either of the defendants be charged in the Chicago case plead guilty prior to the trial, the government would likely propose admitting certified conviction records to establish the shooter's identity, which would specifically streamline presentation of this evidence. What? Should either of the defendants charged in the Chicago case plead guilty prior to the trial? What? Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's exactly what's happening. Okay. So this is really bad for Durk, all right? And people are in denial. People are in absolute denial. So it was initially reported that Durk wouldn't be getting charged in this situation, but that turned out not to be quite accurate. So this is what they were saying back in February, and shout out to Durk's imaginary manager, Durk All Day on Twitter. They'd be doing all the big updates. Okay, this might not be the case no more, but back in February, they were saying, well, the government can't bring up the Stephon Mack murder. The government can use the surveillance footage of Von dying. The government can use public pressure regarding Slide for Von comments. They can use Durk's statement regarding Slide for Von in the academics interview. They can use Durk's alleged threats sent to the Lamron Rich show. They're allowed to use the Pipe It Up message sent by Durk. They can use the voice memo sent by OTF to someone else. They can bring up the attempted shooting on Quando in 2021. They can only show the music video that was reward for the killing or the relationship, only screenshots, not full videos, and they can use the lyrics quoted in Who Wants Smoke and Aha. The judge hasn't ruled on those yet. So basically, they were saying they can't bring it up, but then, this is just according, so basically, right, originally they were saying that the government can't bring this up, but then suddenly out of nowhere, they're now saying that actually they're going to be bringing this up, and they're going to be bringing it up alongside the 2019 shooting that Durk and King Von and Bezu and Hellerbands were involved in that was allegedly an attempted murder. So this is Ndidi's efforts to sever from the trial and get his bail. Said Mr. Wilson already spent 18 months in pretrial custody. Trajectory points to much longer. The government informed defense that it's considering filing supplemental charges by June the 3rd. New charges would include 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence, including conduct the government affirmatively withdrew from its case in chief 3 months ago. Supplemental charges of that scope will not permit the August 20th, 2026 trial date to hold, and Mr. Wilson's pretrial detention is poised to become indefinite.
Alrighty. So the feds didn't want to bring that shit up because, meaning the shooting that happened in Illinois, because had they did that, they would have messed with the damn case that's there. Let me ask y'all this simple question. If Buddy testified, and we're going to say he did testify because you only got 30 to 35 years, you threw your Cody up under the bus. That's for sure. That's what that looks like, right? Because the other pages and all that shit, I don't feel like going through it and looking at it and all that. A plea deal like that means to me, you threw your homeboy under the bus. Possibly he did it, but I'm not seeing that shit, right? So what does it mean when Trapler Ross says, that's what that is? Once again, that's only so that the feds ain't messing with the shit they have. The feds are losing this case. Everybody who spoke about the Lil Durk shooting case and all that bullshit and everything, they failed to remember. And I'm just gonna lay it out. We seen the damn tape. I've seen the tape. I spoke to Lil Durk's attorney. I watched the shit. Bruh, you cats who are trying to act like, oh, this, and this. The argument was that it was actually Bezu who had shot the person. Not Von, not Durk. Not sorry. So, when everybody who's saying this shit, they forget. The case was weak as hell. It was only basically going to hold water for so long. Lil Durk did not shoot anybody. He didn't pay for anybody to be shot or none of that shit. The actual case with the actual person, he got punched on and all that shit and then got robbed by Bezu. It is what it is. So he got robbed for playing with Bezu money, and then he got popped. Who they allege the actual shooter is Bezu. Not no damn Von, not no damn Durk, not no Hellabans. So that's who the alleged shooter is. That's why Bezu was the last one to be let go. Von was the first one to beat the case. Hellabans had died way before, so that shit didn't really matter. And that's why the case started crumbling. Lil Durk got out, Bezu stayed on the case for 6 weeks until, and then they had to let him go. So all this shit about it's to pay for, and all this shit in this King Von, the feds are just throwing shit to try to make it stick, and it ain't working. They're going to try to get Lil Durk on a stalking charge and not a murder for hire. That's what they're working towards. They're confusing everybody because we know what they do. They throw 1,000 effing darts. But let me say this. Why would Buddy agree to testify and all of this shit, meaning Marley, and he's already, by the time his shit is done, he'll already be sentenced for his plea deal? You're not going to really argue between 30 and 35 years because if you go snitch, it's going to work this way. It doesn't work that way. He would have had to had told and then came back and then sat down and they would have twiddled their fingers and said, yep, we're going to go with whatever's recommended by your freaking lawyers. We just seen this shit happen with goddamn Cornbread. He just got 15 years officially today. Let's check out the Reloaded, and I'll give y'all the heads up on that. But no, saying what you guys are saying, it's not actually accurate. It's the feds pushing propaganda and people falling for it. Lil Durk ain't cooked. The damn video don't show none of that shit that these people are talking about. Just doesn't. So respectfully, y'all, I ain't trying to diss nobody or anything like that, but the fact of the matter is Lil Durk ain't cooked or none of that shit. The feds are desperate. They done changed the indictment 3 effing times because there was no money. And the indictment with Marley and the shooting and all of this shit, the dude asked him, hey, did you get some money from OTF and them? That wasn't never mind. Believe what you will. Subscribe, turn on bell, stay notified, and share to keep your people aware. Click right here to see how Kevin Hart just keeps on burning. Yeah, it keep on burning, bro. Crashing and burning. Click right here for that video or click right here for the playlist, and I'll catch you on the next one.